Welcome to the Go Gettas podcast, a podcast about we haven't decided yet, but we're going to be doing it anyway. I am Colby.
And I'm Batman, and I just went to Stripes for justice. You can call me Fee.
What is there? I was going to ask what aisle Justice is on, but that made me ask, does Stripes have aisles?
They do.
I've been like, are they labeled though?
They're not labeled,
Okay.
but generally ice is kept outside, so.
Mm-hmm. So okay, so ice outside, just ice, maybe.
Well, do you see what I went for? Like, get it?
Yeah,
Batman
no, I got it.
Sure.
I'm.
Did you though? Please, no, explain it to me.
No, you know what, Fee? Why don't you explain it to me? How about that?
You know, he Batman's all about justice.
Uh-huh.
But what can you get at Stripes? Just ice. And they're spelled the same.
Are they?
Just ice, justice? Yeah.
Yeah. Are they? That's
yeah.
And that's
Spell
that's a joke. That's a joke then.
That's a joke I've crafted.
That's the full thing.
That's the full thing. I've crafted it perfectly.
Look what I've made for you. This is a cuckoo clock made out of doo-doo.
I've done it again.
How does he keep doing it? He can't keep getting away with this.
This monster, this hideous beast of a Joker. Yeah,
Fee's the new Joker. There's a lot of emphasis on making jokes, though. Like, there's not a lot of threats. He's not actually a big villain or anything. Batman's just like, everybody's really tired of listening to you. Can you stop?
Drive-by joking. Just big crowd of people, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna get him. Fucking roll the window down. Why are you checking across the road? Fucking drives off.
just peeling down the street, barreling at a group of school children, and then coming to a screeching halt and be like, I bet you I can tell you where you got those shoes. They're on your feet. And drive away.
Fucking hate that. But I would do that. I'm notorious for my bad jokes.
Hey, it's me, hey. Bad Jokes Magoots.
It's me, Bad Jokes Tommy Two Coats.
Yeah, that is your full legal Christian name.
I only had it changed because I was getting too famous, so I didn't want to get recognized on the street.
I was too famous and too handsome.
I stayed handsome, but I got less famous.
Man, it's like it's been a week. So for you guys at home, the last podcast that we recorded, you didn't hear, and you never will. It's gone.
Unfortunately,
there was a series of unfortunate events by Lemony Snicket that happened in which Lemony Snicket broke into my house and he messed up the Twitch stream, and he broke into Fee's house and Alt Control deleted and shut down Audacity. It was very rude of him.
It was very rude. It was unfortunate because there was really topical subjects, really just hard-hitting good things that we're never going to say again, except I might, just because Colby hated it.
Please don't. Don't. Please do not. We had a segment at the beginning of the show that lasted about 5 minutes, and I've never wanted to stop listening to a podcast that I was actively recording before, but here we are.
Well, listen, I for one love making you uncomfortable. It's a deep passion of mine.
Listen, some people, they like volunteering. I just like making you uncomfortable.
No, I'm not to a perverted degree. I I just like having just a guffaw on
just
not
a good
me.
Laugh.
Good laugh, a good hee and ha.
Fun fact, my dad used to like he would ask me relatively frequently about how my friends at school were doing. And by friends at school, like he would just ask about people that he hadn't heard about in a while. And one of those people, his name was Ignacio. And the reason why he asked,
you didn't hang out with Nacho.
Yeah, Nacho. He's like a rocker dude now. He was back then too, but whenever we were kids, I think like 5th grade, he and I got into like an actual physical fight at school.
That sounds like him.
And it sounds like he's a oh, what a card. We got into like an actual fight at school, and it was fine afterward. Like we were like acquaintances for the rest of high school, for the rest of, I guess, all of school. But like from that point onward, he would just ask about him just every like month or two. He'd just be like, oh, how is he? But the thing is, and I'm pretty sure after a while he did figure it out and then started doing it on purpose. He never called him by his correct name.
Why would he call him?
He always called him Oswaldo. I don't know why. So he'd just be like, oh, how's old, oh, you know his name, Oswaldo. How's he?
God,
I'm like, Dad, it's been 10 years. It's Ignacio, and I don't know. I'm in college.
His fucking like last words, just Colby. Colby. You're like, yeah, Dad, just
come closer.
How's that Oswaldo doing? Just fine.
Yeah.
Your fucking dad. I wouldn't put it past him to make just like that bad joke.
Yeah. I like there were a number of times where I was like, I'm pretty sure you know that's his name. My dad would be like, oh, do I?
No, I don't even ask about him frequently. Once a month on this day specifically.
Yeah. Have a calendar reminder.
But on the calendar, it's actually spelled correctly. It says Ignacio. But he goes out of his way. That's why
like he would never write it down on the actual calendar. He's like, yeah, I gotta keep this private.
Listen,
gotta keep the joke going.
If Colby lets on, he's gonna boom the joke. Just
everybody's gonna hate me.
Well, I mean, they're gonna actually hate me, not like joke hate me.
Yeah, not joke hate me. He's just paying Ignacio just like every month. He's like, hey, just like walk by him.
Yeah.
Like tip your head at him. That way, like when I ask him, if he says, I don't know, I haven't seen him, I'll know he's lying. God, okay.
God,
so there was like so this has nothing to do with anything, but this is like a very Mandela effect moment that like happened. It happened, and okay. I'm so sure that it happened. Okay. But like the longer and longer that I go on and the further away that I get from this this thing, the more that I'm like, was that just a very elaborate dream? And my parents are like, because it's either a dream that I convinced myself happened, or my parents forgot, or they're gaslighting me, right? Okay. It's one of the three.
I would say the latter.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing, is that the third one is possible. Yeah. So when we were in, I think like early junior high, Mike would come over to my house almost every day, and we would walk to the nearby elementary school. And that elementary school is an open air elementary school. So like you got in the classroom and you were inside, you left the classroom, you were outside. That's just how it was built.
There's a fence around it now.
There is a fence around it now, probably because of people like us.
Yeah.
Because what we would do is like, we would get our bikes and we would like just tear ass up and down the hallway and like jump off the side and like play on the playground.
I would do that from my house. Like I would get on my bike, drive all over town like a hooligan, and end up over there with my friends. And we would just like, because they're like really, the new floors they put in at the time were really fucking smooth.
Yeah.
And there was just ramps that would like lead to like good sick hops.
Yeah.
So it was perfect for like skateboarding and like biking and rollerblading.
Yeah, so like if you knew what was going on, you could see like all the steps that were near like the front of the school were just like waxed up from people that were like, I'm just gonna wax the curb and just do a 50-50, whatever.
Yeah, because it's all anyone could do.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an ollie. You could maybe do a kickflip, and somebody would do a 50-50 for like a second. Maybe.
Yeah, and then someone would like ollie into like a lip hold, but like never move, and then just like kind of land from the curb. Be like, oh, did you see that? And fucking, I'm like, yep, you did it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, this was during the era of Jackass as well, so that opened up many possibilities. Suddenly, you didn't need to like do a trick; you just had to fall funny, and then you were good. And so like. That was like definitely a thing, was like, get your bike going as fast as possible, ride down this school hallway, jump off the side and just land in a pile of leaves as mangled as you can. And then everybody laughs and you laugh. It's great.
Yeah. I do remember back when Jackass was like at its peak. Me and my friends would do the same thing. We would write these skits. This is before I met y'all guys. And we would record ourselves because I had a big camera. And we would just be like, "This, welcome to Jackass. This is, me and my two friends. And this is the football catch." And we'd throw a football and then catch the ball midair and fall into a ditch. And it wouldn't look like it hurt. It didn't hurt. And we would just be like, oh, and fucking roll on our back and be like, "Oh man, did you see that?"
Oh, boy. You see, I almost died.
One swift move to the right, and there goes my ankle hanging. We also, like, I think we couldn't come up with anything better than that because
a lot of germs in this ditch, very dangerous.
But after that, we wrote a script for a movie that we were going to make, and we recorded the intro for it, and then nothing else. And it was Jason versus Scream.
Ooh, yeah.
And so we record the Scream people, like we do the whole like calling on the phone and like, "What's your favorite scary movie?" Yeah. And then like it cutting to like the guy being stabbed, right? Because my friend had the leftover costume for Halloween, right?
Yeah.
And then so it shows him doing that. And then I was like, I want to be Jason because Jason's cool. So I had like football pads and I put on like just a big shirt, and I had a hockey mask and pants. And I was just like casual clothes Jason.
That's the thing, is like Jason, out of all the people that out of all like the monster movie people, like he doesn't have a very distinct outfit, because Michael Myers has the mechanic outfit. Yeah. Freddy has the sweater. Ghostface has the black cloak and the mask. Jason just has the hockey mask and whatever the hell.
Yeah, well, it's a hockey mask and like a machete.
Yeah, yeah. Everything else is up for grabs.
It's usually like a button-up shirt and like jeans, I guess. But like you don't really think about it unless like it's part 2 Jason, where he had the burlap sack and like the overalls. But we were going for like modern Jason, so
yeah.
I put on like this big shirt with shoulder pads on, and I was Jason. It was just after Halloween. And I had the machete, I had the mask, and we're at the park down the street from my house, right? And I don't know what even the story was, but it was Jason coming after this guy, and then them catching him and like shooting him. And we had like a BB gun, and we like one pumped it so that way it wouldn't hurt. And like the video was just them running and then picking up the gun. And then like shooting like me like 4 times, and then me pretending to die. But because it had just rained, I had like fell into a puddle, and I was like, "It's okay, go with it." And so they're filming me, and then they filmed the people. We filmed our friends talking like, "Oh, we just got out of there alive," and whatnot. And then they point it back to me, and I do the Undertaker sit up, like when he's knocked out and he sits up.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts to me like chasing them, and then we filmed nothing else. I guess we just were like,
so yeah, we
don't want to do that. We don't want to do that anymore. But
yeah, that's the thing, how like that's how projects are whenever you're younger, is you like have you really have to do it in one shot, because if you try to come back to it, it is hard to make you be like, oh, okay, I got to go back and pick up where I left off. Like all the time for creative projects like that, it's like, oh yeah, I really want to make this cool movie, and then if you're like, okay, well, we're gonna have to pick up shooting next weekend, that movie is never getting finished ever.
Nope. And it never did. And the thing is, we didn't really have editing software.
Yeah,
we just had the camera, so we had to shoot in order. And we just never did anymore.
Yeah, that was for a long time. That was just what you did. Is like, especially if you're recording on tape, you're like, oh well, that's it. I guess I'll just rewind and hope that I get it.
Oh my god, that was definitely that's kind of why I liked hanging out with y'all more, because like my old friends were very sporty. They like to be outside and play football and golf and shit. And I didn't like doing that, but I did it because they were my friends. And then I met y'all guys, and y'all wanted to be inside and play games. And then just one random day, you're like, we're gonna film a movie. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, it's my time to shine.
This is what I was born for.
Because I was big into like making movies. Like I've said it before in the podcast, I've always wanted to be an actor. I've always wanted to do stuff like that. So in my head, I'm like, these guys get it.
Yeah, listen, they understand. And to be fair, we did and do.
It's just and that's how our friendship blossomed. And we made several movies, all of which are good and cult classics.
Yeah. I mean, it's so one of the bad things about like editing like that is that if you have a take that you have to do multiple times, you have one of two choices. Either you very, very briefly eat into the previous scene, or you leave a gap, and then like a previous take will just sort of like sneak its way in a little bit. And so like one of the movies that we shot, it's like there's this dramatic reveal that, oh my god, this villain is back. So I say something, and then the camera pans to Mike, and he goes, my god. Except that the next scene we had to record so many times that when we watched it back, we had recorded over a lot of like Mike's lines. So I say something, camera pans to Mike, and he goes, ma. And then it just goes to the next scene. Like nothing happened.
Yeah, just... And another scene you're talking about, it's the scene that we took literally an hour trying to film without laughing. And it was I immediately started researching dicks. Yeah. My god, I haven't seen so many or something in one place. And it was Mike, and Mike couldn't keep a fucking straight
Mike
face.
Couldn't, yeah. For the life of him, he could not keep a straight face.
Because it's like such an absurd line, first of all. And he wasn't even saying it, but just trying to be serious while hearing the line.
God. What a good scene. So like this whole conversation spawned because of my parents gaslighting me, maybe.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, we would go up to the elementary school, ride bikes, we would play on the playground and hang out. And my parents, like, I'm gonna tell you like the whole situation. So my parents at the time, they said, hey, we so like because of your sister like tying up the phone line so often, we're going to get like a secret phone line, and it's a phone line that people can call into, but you can't dial out of.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah, so like the phones will ring like normal, but they'll be calling a different phone number. And that way we can sort of see like how much the phone uses your sister, and we can like do billing and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. And they gave me this secret phone number. It's just a regular phone number.
Okay.
And I immediately forgot it. They were like, just tell your friends to like call this phone number if they're calling the house. And I said, okay. And I just didn't. Right. So I then like a couple of weeks goes by, and you know, still I'm hanging out with Mike every day. We're going up to the school. We're like just walking around town doing whatever, because there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
And then my parents come back and they're like, hey, we got a concerning phone call. And I said, oh, okay. And they said, yeah, so it was on the phone number that we gave you. Somebody called and said that they saw you and Mike up at the school smoking. And I said, what? No. And they were like, are you sure? And I went, yes. What? Do you not believe me? And they were like, I mean, why would somebody just call and say that? And I was like, I don't know. I don't even know that phone number. I didn't give it out to anyone because I don't remember the phone number. And they were like, well, then how did someone call it? And I was like, I don't know. Don't ask me.
Yeah. Then how did this person call us and tell us of your...
And how do they know you? How do they reveal your secrets to us?
Yeah. How did they know you and Mike's name?
So
sounds very, very suspicious.
Exactly. So I hear that and I'm like, I'm racking my brain because I'm like, I do not remember the phone number. So like, I'm like, maybe the day of I gave the phone number to someone. Maybe like, I don't know, like I wrote it down and put it in my backpack and the paper fell out and then someone picked it up and decided to do a prank. I don't know. And like, I'm like racking my brain about this. And I just decided like, I'll lay low for a while. My parents were like, yeah, just like stop going to the school so often. And I was like, okay. So we just like, we only went like every once in a while. And it was also like, you know, it was getting to be, like cold winter. And we were like, well, yeah, I don't really want to go out there. So yeah, like a number of years go by. And then I was like, I remembered this just out of nowhere. And so I started talking to my parents and was like, hey, what was up with that like secret phone number? Like, as I thought about it and I was like, oh, I think I pieced it together. They must have, like, when we went out to the school, they must have driven by and saw that we were like sitting down and hanging out. And then they were like, well, why are they going up to the school to like just sit there? They must be doing something nefarious. So like they come back and they make up this story about like, somebody ratted you out. You better tell the truth. And I'm like, no, that's not what we were doing. So
they
like,
saw you and they were like, oh, well, back in our day, going to the school on off hours is, for mischievous hooligans.
Yeah. Which like, it was, it still is.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and it was, but like the junior high in our town is very different in that you can't get away with doing sneaky shit because it's out in the open.
Yeah. That elementary school is like like everywhere is visible from the road. Yeah. Like not to be crass, but if there was like an active shooting situation, it could just be a drive-by. Like this could be a drive-by school shooting.
Yeah. I mean,
that's like just how the school is structured.
Yeah, it's just one big hallway in the middle, and then it breaks off into like tiny like 4 hallways on each side. So, and it's all outside. There's nothing inside. Like the library is the only thing inside. But I think it's different now. I think they put a big building on in the front of it, so now you can't like really look into it. So it's different.
Yeah, there were some renovations since we went, which is good. That building was like falling apart.
No, I hate it. I I hate that. Like as we left, they were like, you know what? Let's fix a high school, and they made
Yeah.
it 1,000 times better. And I'm like, well, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as we left, because like whenever we were going to school, we had the old gym and then we had the new gym.
Ooh,
and the new gym had like just finished. So like whenever I was going to school. So for the first 2 years, if you went to the gym, you went to the old one, and then for 2 years after, we went to like the new one. But the new one was still like, we kind of want to use it, but we haven't moved all the stuff over, and it was like, and still like they built a new library, awesome, excellent, wonderful. What do they do with the old library? They put my computer class in it, and they put in school suspension also in the same building with my computer classes. Just fun.
I really hate it because like my sister, when she was in high school, I would go there and just be mad. Like she would be like doing volleyball or like basketball. I'd go to the high school and be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Just like mad. I'm like, why didn't we have this shit?
Yeah, I'm like, where was all this money when we were here?
I'm like, where'd you get this money all of a sudden? And of course, they turned the junior high that was right next to it into, I guess, just a storage building. And they have their offices out there in the temporary connexes that are not they've been out there for like 10 years now. And they don't even use the auditorium anymore. They use the band hall for theater.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah, dude, it's fucking whack.
I mean, that is whack, but it like, I don't know why they don't use it. I can wager a guess though.
Oh, what is it?
I'm gonna wager a guess that the theater is actually condemned. Like, because whenever we went there, so like this theater was old, man, like original to the high school. So the like our high school was built in the 50s, and then they built like a second high school next door, and then they turned the old high school into the junior high, and they added some buildings and stuff, right? So like as the town sort of grew, they added new buildings and whatever. But the theater there was for the entire town, or for the entire school district. Yeah. And it was really old. And at some point in like the 80s or 90s, the basement flooded. And so all of the costumes, all of the props, like everything that the theater owned that was down in the basement, just mildew and garbage. And they left a lot of it there.
The auditorium had a basement?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's boarded over. It's boarded over, yeah, because the auditorium had this big flood, and they just like they just said no people should come down here anymore because there's probably mold or whatever, and it's not safe to be down here. So they just boarded it up, right? I imagine that like with the way in which we took care of that theater, that like all it took was probably one child being like, yeah, I'm sick, and the parent being like, oh, wonder what from, and they were like, I don't know, but the auditorium smells like mold, and they're like, okay, let's get a mold inspector in, and the mold inspector walked in and went, oh, you should burn this whole thing down.
This building shouldn't be allowed to be up. It's a cesspool.
And this is against God.
This is beyond regulation. But I can't do anything about it, so later.
Yeah, goodbye. So like to finish off my gaslighting story very quickly, I asked them like, hey, do you remember this phone call you got on like the secret phone, and you said that like, you know, we like me and Mike were like smoking up at the East Element. Like, you said that like just to see if that's what we were doing, right? And my parents go, what are you talking about? And I was like, okay, it was like a big thing. You got this phone call, or like I came home from hanging out with Mike at the elementary school, and you said like, oh, somebody called us on that secret phone number. By the way, how did we get that secret? What is that secret phone number? What was it for? And they were like, I don't know what what are you talking about? I tried to explain the secret phone number. I tried to explain the reason why we had the secret phone number. I tried to explain the call. And at every step, they were like, Colby, we have no idea what you're talking about. Not even the hint of a clue.
They are sunken in their lie that they're not giving it up.
It's gotta be either that, or I had a very long, very elaborate dream, and I woke up and was like, whew, I better not mention that ever again, because I just, like, they think that I'm, like, going out and doing bad stuff. I should just, like, calm down and not do anything for a little while.
What if it was the latter, but, like, it's so, like, engraved in your memory, like, it feels real?
Yeah.
Like they incepted it into your fucking brain.
Yeah, dude. Like, okay, so whenever a baby was born, I talk about like baby in the bed syndrome. And this happens where like a parent will be so like kind of sleep deprived and stressed out that they will like wake up in the middle of the night and be searching for the baby in the bed. And one night I because you have to wake up every 2 hours with an infant. You have to wake up.
Yeah.
If they're not awake, you have to wake them up and then feed them and change them and put them back down. And then you just have to do it every 2 hours, and it sucks. And like in that, I woke up and I looked over and my wife was like holding the baby and nursing him. And then they said, here, can you hold the baby for a second? I've got to grab something. And I said, okay. So I'm holding the baby and just hanging out and waiting for like, you know, whatever they're going to go do. And so they come back and they say, oh, good. You can just put the baby down here, like in front of me in the bed. And I was like, okay. So like I put the baby down in front of them, and I kind of like lay back down. I go back to sleep, and then I wake up and they're like, hey, where did you put the baby? And I was like, what are you talking about? I put the baby like right here. And so like I sit up and I start like looking in the bed. I'm like, I put the baby like right here. And they're like, why did you put the baby down there? And I am like, what are you talking about? You told me to put the baby there. I don't know why you wanted me to put the baby there, but I did. I put the baby there like you told me to. And they just looked at me with this weird look on their face and they go, are you okay? Are you awake? And I realized that I, like, in my sleep had sat up. Like, the whole part about putting the baby down in the sheets was a dream that I had. And then I woke up and was still sort of dreaming and thought that like the baby was in the bed, but we couldn't find it. So I'm like going through the sheets, frantically trying to find this baby. And my wife is like, are you okay?
Just fucking having this like nightmare where you fucking freak out, wake up and still dreaming.
Yeah. Not only that, but like, I was like mad at my wife. I was like, you told me to put the baby down in the sheet. You told me to put the baby down in the sheets, and then you didn't watch the baby? Like, how did you lose the baby?
He doesn't even move fast.
He doesn't move at all.
You're just like angry, like not even thinking that, oh, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it took me like 15 or 20 seconds to like work out what was happening in my brain to catch up. And even then, I was still pissed. I was like, I was just mad, and then I was embarrassed, and then I apologized. But
you're like real mad, and then you figured out what was going on, and we're like, well, I can't tell them what happened.
Yeah. What am I supposed to do?
That's so good. I fucking love it.
Yeah,
I think we've all had a dream like that, not just with the baby, but like. And this, like, happens a few times. Like, I will, my mom will come, and I'll be asleep, and she'll, like, kind of wake me up and ask me to do something or tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'll be like, she'll tell me, and then later on, of course, I wake up and I don't do it. And then she's like, hey, did you do that thing I told you to do, or did you do this? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You didn't tell me that. And she's like, I woke you up and we had a full conversation. Yeah. I'm like, no, we didn't. Shut up. Just
shut up. Yeah, it happens to be all the time. I totally get this.
So, like, I understand where you come from, but I've never had like the fucking. It kind of sounds like a horror movie, like what you've described. Just,
yeah,
like you're like. You wake up like frantic and you're like, what do you mean the baby's gone? And then and then like you're freaking out, and then like you wake up from like that dream and you're like, hey wife, hey Mia, where's the baby? And then like they look at you and they're like, what baby? They're like, we don't have, just fucking
huh? What? Man, like, so it wouldn't be surprising either, because my dad had night terrors. He had to go on sleep medicine because twice he woke up and worried. So he had woken up a number of times in the night to like sleepwalk or do whatever. And it was always a little bit concerning, but they were like, it's not a big deal. It was only whenever my mom's safety was threatened that they were like, okay, we should get this taken care of.
Yeah.
Like, the last 2 times that my dad had night terrors and was moving around, he like in his dream, the door to their bedroom had like slid from the ceiling closed, and there was no doorknob. And so like he was trying to open the door, and so he had his fingers under the door trying to like lift up the door, and was like trying to like lift it back up. And that's how he woke my mom up, is his fingernails were like clawing at the door, trying to get under it and like lift the door up.
That's terrifying.
It is. My mom was like, David, wake up.
Your mom is so just nonchalant about things.
So the time that like made them get it fixed is my mom was just dead asleep, and then just wakes up with this feeling of dread, and she looks above her, and my dad is kneeling above her with his knee directly above her face, about to just like smash it into her face, and she just screams, David, wake up! He wakes up and it's like, oh, what's going on? He's just very confused. And yeah, my mom was like, you go do something, you're gonna kill me.
Not even like scared, just like, David, go get that checked out. God,
go to the doctor.
You're being crazy.
You're acting weird.
Your fucking mom. I fucking love that. God, I've never had that, but like knowing you've contracted everything your parents had. Yeah, you probably.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the point yet, because like I do like have conversations in my sleep sometimes, like you do, and I haven't gotten to the point where like I've had a dream that like has made me get out of bed and start doing a bunch of stuff. But I have had a few dreams that are concerningly mixed with reality. Like there was one dream I had where like it felt like I was dreaming for hours, and the loop was I would wake up and I'd be like, oh, whew, God, what a nightmare. And then I would get out of bed, I would walk to the bathroom, I would like take a drink of water out of the faucet, and then I would sit back down in bed, and then a monster would show up.
You told us,
yeah. So like that dream, and then like the other dreams where like people in my dream became like aware that they were people in my dream and were like, don't forget us or we'll die for real. Like
that dream you told us about where you took a ride with the dream people, and they were like, hey, don't forget us or we're gonna die.
Yeah.
God, that's terrifying.
We know this is a dream, but like if you forget us, we'll die forever. I'm like, okay, I'll never forget you.
And you never have. Just
I can't. I'm responsible.
It's not even that's horrifying. Like that's just a horrible, like terrible memory. Yeah. I would hate that. Like I have dreams of reoccurring places, but like just people that talk to me and tell me like these terrifying things, these dreadful things. Sorry, it doesn't happen. Like, usually the terrifying, dreadful things happen to me in my dream.
Yeah.
But never like around me. Well, I guess like around me, but like usually to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think I've become self-aware in a dream yet. I say yet like I'm fucking like I'm
tonight.
Tonight's the night, baby. Because there was like an infatuation with lucid dreaming when I was younger.
Oh yeah.
That I was like, oh dude, lucid dreaming sounds sick. And the person that got me into it was my cousin Tommy and Pete. And they would just fucking, they'd razz me. They were like, oh, we were lucid dreaming last night. We fucking met up in our dream and we're doing all this shit.
Met up in our dreams. Shut the fuck up.
I was young. I didn't know any better. I was like, oh, I want to do that.
That's sick.
And they told me like techniques they could use, and I was like doing it in my room. And I remember my dad like coming into my room one day, and he was like, "Why is this sticky note on the wall?" I'm like, "That's so when I dream, I can see it in my dream and wake up." And he was kind of like, "Huh," and he was like, "Okay," like I don't think he like.
Yeah, are you okay?
He's like, well, that certainly is a thing. Like, I just don't think my dad, he was just like, all right, we'll go, good luck with that. My dad was like very much a good luck with that kind of guy.
Yeah. Oh, well, have fun.
It's just, like, I remember putting sticky notes all over my room. And before I went to bed, like, I would count down because I was told, like, if you count down, I think from like 100 or something backwards, and like you intersplice with every 10 number, like you say a color, like you'll fall into your dream easier, and it just never happened. So I was big into trying to like be the next dream, like the lucid dreamer of the century, but I guess there's no way to like to track that. I know it's funny because people will say that they do, but like Inception.
Yeah.
When they went to like those Tibetan monks, I'm like, how do we know they're fucking lucid dreaming?
Yeah. So it's really weird that you bring this up. I actually watched a YouTube video on lucid dreaming like 5-6 days ago, maybe. And it was about this guy. Like, there's a number of these YouTube channels out there that like, it sounds interesting and cool, but there's so many out there that I'm like, God, I don't even care anymore. Where they're like, I'm going to do a new thing for 1 month and tell you all about it. And so this guy was like, I'm going to try for 1 month to lucid dream. Yeah. And he was just going through the techniques of like, you have to like set an alarm, and you wake up in the middle of the night and you write down your dreams. And the more that you write down your dreams, the more that you remember your dreams. And then you like, he was just going through like all these different techniques about like, here's how, here's how to get better at it. And I did have a lucid dream. But the thing is like, and if you would have asked me maybe 10 years ago, if I thought this was sad, I would have said no, but it's so sad because he was like, yeah, the whole reason why I want to do lucid dreaming is I want to see like, can I get some work done in these dreams? Like, can I study for a test, or like, can I like practice a language? Can I, do something productive? And I was like, that is maybe the saddest thing I have ever heard. 'Cause like, nobody is out here like, yeah, man, I want to lucid dream so I can do more math. It's always like, I want to lightsaber fight, or I want to fly.
I want to fucking be Goku for a night. And then there's this guy who's just like, yeah, I think maybe learning a second language or like studying for a test would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Like, is the amount of times, and this is a weird admission to make, but the amount of times that I lay down in bed and like, I imagine, this is the scenario in my head, that like, if I imagine that there is a button that I can press that will stop time, and I really believe it. I believe it hard enough that it's super real. Then whenever I reach my finger out, the button will be there and I'll press it. I do that most nights because I'm like, God, it would be nice to stop time and just sleep for 16 hours.
Dude, you're not the only one. I think everyone's had that. Like, I wish I had like clock stopper technology and just have like this void where every minute is an hour. So that way you're like, I am very tired, but I don't want to waste the rest of my evening.
Yeah.
If I had like clock stoppers tech, I could sleep for, I don't know, 10 minutes and that be a full night's rest.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't like, that be the fucking dream?
That is the dream. And that's why, like, because, you know, before the internet introduced us all to like concepts like lucid dreaming and biphasic or polyphasic sleeping, like you didn't have those ideas. And so now whenever you're like, oh, when somebody like presents you with this thing that says like, yeah, did you know you sleep away 30% of your life? What if I told you you could reduce that to 5% and you actually only need 3 hours of sleep every day? All you have to do is follow this regimen. Then you hear that and you go, yeah, I want some more time. I'd like to play games more. I want to enjoy a hobby.
Yeah. But that's just, it's not that easy. I'd love to have that, and maybe, I don't know, like this is like me in real life. Every time I go to work, I have 12 free hours while I'm at work because I don't really work. I do, but I don't. I always tell myself, all right, 6 hours for, you know, entertainment and binging stuff and catching up with things. And then the last 6 hours, I'm going to try and learn like something like either like editing or something. And then the 6 hour point comes in and I'm like, well, I can't today.
Maybe not tonight.
I'm like, I'm not feeling it. Just, and that happened because I was going to do that like this past couple of nights of work. And it never did. Like this past few weeks of work, I've been like, okay, I'm good. Today's the day. And then like when the time comes for me to do it, I'm just like, yeah, well, it's just the first day. I still got 2 days. I'm just So I never do it. And I then I get mad at myself like on the last day. I'm like, why did I do anything? Just
hey.
Just, like I'm getting mad at someone, but it's I'm getting mad at this imaginary fucking person. Like,
yeah, somebody used my body and didn't learn a language.
Yeah, I could have been learning how to edit.
What a scam!
It's stupid. What's it called? Procrastination. It's the old procrastination devil.
Yeah, that's right.
Fucking back on my back again. And that's just how it is, like all the time. Just
it's hard because like, especially if you're like not in the groove of doing something, and like having ADHD makes it so hard to want to like stop a thing that you're enjoying doing and start doing a thing that you specifically are not enjoying doing, right? Like, if you're like learning a new skill or learning how to, you know, do something that is especially like boring at the beginning, or it's frustrating to learn, or you know, the tools are not that good, all of that sort of adds up to you being like, man, I don't want to do this. I would much rather watch this very old anime.
Dude, that is so very me, because like I will be up to date on all my animes, and then like I'll have an idea in my head, like I want to do a video or something. Or I want to learn how to edit so I can make the video I want to do like better. Or I want to learn like techniques on how to like better write stuff, how like better writing. But then I'm like, I will just be I'll be scrolling through like Crunchyroll or Hulu, and I'm like, hey, that looks cool, and I'll just put it on, and then I will just in the back of my head, I'm like, stop. I'm like, you got time to stop. I'm like, just go do the thing you were gonna do. I'm like, oh, but man, I'm already kind of invested in this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, see, I also imagine, because this sometimes happens to me at work, where I'm like, okay, like I've really got to focus and like get this one task done first, and then I can move on to the rest of them. And I'm like, all right, well, like I have pulled up all of the YouTube videos that I want to watch today, so I'm just going to put one of them on, and then I'll do this. And then I start the YouTube video, and then I watch the YouTube video.
They watch the next.
That's it. And then I watch the next one. Right. And I'm like, it's been an hour. What happened?
dude, same. I will have YouTube open on the first tab with the subscription page open, and I will start at the beginning of the day for whatever I miss, whatever time of day it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I will go up and I'll be like, okay, I want to see that one, that one. And I'll like, what's it called? The scroll click. So I can open a new tab.
Mm-hmm.
I'll open new tabs with just those videos. And so at the end of like my scroll, I'll have like 8 videos open. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, if it's a trailer, I'm gonna watch those first because they're like 2 minutes. And then I'm gonna go to one that I didn't really want to watch that much, but I'll get it out of the way, and then I'll go down to the ones I want to watch. And then I'll be like, okay, this is good. But then as like you're like going through the videos, you're like, okay, I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna get me something to drink, or I'm gonna get me a snack. Come back, finish the video, and then you finish your videos. Then you go back to YouTube, and you're like, okay, and in your head, you're like, I'm gonna do this thing that I set out to do. But then, in the back of your head, well, YouTube has updated new videos from the people that you watch because you've been watching videos for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So now you got to catch up, and then you're like, oh, well, now I got to watch these.
Yeah.
And so it's just you go from what you're watching to the new ones that you're watching, and then you're like, well, I know that a show updated on like Hulu or HBO or whatever, so I'm gonna go check it out. Maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't. You end up watching it, and then you're like, well, fuck, now I'm way behind. I can't do what I wanted to do in the first place. I might as well just do this. And that's how my brain works.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. That's very, very similar to how things go at work. Because like Adderall has done some really nice things. It gives me the ability to like recognize when that is happening and try to stop it. And so like it gives me more willpower to be able to see what's happening and stop it. And whenever I do get into a groove, I can stay in a groove. My momentum is like much harder to stop now, which is great.
You're such a lucky ducky. I don't have that strength.
Yeah. But that's not to say that there aren't days where I take my Adderall and I'm like, well, because my work day starts at 11 a.m. That's when my first meeting starts. And usually I'm at my computer by 10-ish, specifically because I'm like, okay, for that first hour, I'm updating code. I'm doing like the stuff that I didn't finish up yesterday. And I'm making sure that I'm up to date with what's happening with my team and getting all that stuff done. Right. And in that time, I'm like, all right, well, I'll put on a couple YouTube videos. Maybe I'll like waste a little bit of time. Most of this is just like responding to people and reading emails and making sure that like I'm ready to go whenever this first meeting is over. And then there's some days that first meeting ends and I go, all right, great. Okay, so I've got these 5 things to do. This is the priority. Real quick, let me go put some music on YouTube. I go to open up the YouTube page and then I go, oh, Donkey's got a new video. Well, I do have to check out the new Donkey video then. What am I going to do? Not watch it? And then all of a sudden, it's time to take my second Adderall at 2 p.m. and I go, what happened? Where did it go?
I think that's the difference because like your work, you have a team of people and you're in charge of. Mm-hmm. I don't have to worry about anyone.
Yeah.
If there's a ship coming, I'll know ahead of time and I'll see the people pulling it in and I just have to mark the time. And other than that, I don't have to do anything. It's just either I'm I'm doing that 30 minutes span of like time frame of work, or I'm just waiting for another ship to come or leave, and anything in between is free time.
Yeah.
So, and no one really checks on me, and unless my coworker calls me, which I really hate when he does because he's fucking my flow up. and I don't know if he like does it on purpose or like maybe he's bored. And every time he calls me, I'm like, this motherfucker's bored, and he just wants to talk with me, and I fucking hate it. Like he'll call me, and I'm like, what? Not, I won't be a dick. I won't be like, what? I'll just be like, hey, what's going on? And then be like, hey, man, this is how I know he's just trying to burn time. He'll be like, hey, man, how you doing? And I'm like, don't. I'm like, please don't. I'm like, don't tell me that shit. And he's like, did you see this or did you see that? I'm like, yes, I did. I don't want to talk about it, but now that you're on the fucking subject,
I wasn't gonna talk about it with you because I hate you, but yes, I did see Goku do the cool thing yesterday. Cool thing? I thought it was stupid.
Oh God! I had this. I swear, 2 hours arguing with him the other night. I was livid, and he was wrong, but he didn't want to admit he was wrong. And this time, I know he was wrong. We both acknowledged that he was wrong at the same time, but he still didn't want to admit he was wrong. He refused to admit he was wrong. So we were. If you don't know, I am a big fan of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space movie. And we were stoked. We're talking about the game that's coming out. And, we're talking about some of our favorite kills. He loves that movie, too. And he was like, yeah, if you don't know, one of the clowns is doing shadow puppets. And he turns a shadow into a big T-Rex. And he eats like a crowd of people that are watching him do it. And then it sucks the people back into his hand. You hear them screaming, and he opens up his like little bag that he's carrying, and he puts them in there. And the bag is full of popcorn.
Okay.
Clowns. So when he mentions that, he was like, "Yeah, my favorite part's when the T-Rex swallows the people and he turns them into popcorn." I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's not what happened." I'm like, he shrank them down and put them in a bag. And he's like, no. He's like, he turned them into popcorn. It shows them as popcorn in his hand. I'm like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, I have this movie on Blu-ray. I'm like, I've seen it a lot of times. I'm like, no, it doesn't. And he's like, no, they're popcorn. He's like, well, we'll agree to disagree right now. I'm like, okay, only because I want to watch to make sure that I'm not wrong, because now I'm doubting myself. So, he goes away. He actually like visited me. He drove by and talked. So like an hour goes by and I forget the whole conversation. And he calls me. He's like, hey, did you look up the thing? I'm like, oh fuck no. I'm like, let me do it right now. So a computer in front of me. I bring up the scene. I'm like, yeah, he didn't turn them into popcorn. Like, I see the whole scene. And I'm like, he didn't turn them into popcorn. He shrank them. And he's like, well, you don't see that. And I'm like, his bag's full of popcorn. Why is it full of popcorn? I'm like, because he's a fucking clown. I'm like, and in the movie, the popcorn turns into like clown worm things. They're like what's it called? Like seeds, eggs. And they use them as like ammo. I'm like, he just has them in his bag. I don't know what to tell you, but when he pulls the people into his hand, you hear them screaming, and you hear like muffled screams, right? And he puts them in the bag, but you don't see them. He never opens his hand. You never see him put them in the bag, but it's implied that he puts them in the bag because you hear them screaming, and he closes it and then goes away. And he refused to acknowledge what he just saw. He was like, I'll acknowledge that they didn't turn into popcorn, but he didn't shrink them and he didn't put them in the bag. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, you just saw it happen. And he's like, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe there's a wiki or something. So there's two wikis open at this point. There's the Wikipedia, and Fandom. And I fucking hate this because Fandom said that it turned them into popcorn, but Wikipedia says it shrank them. And I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like, they didn't turn them into fucking popcorn. And he's like, well, maybe we'll look up the script. And sure enough, we looked up the script. Script's online. We download the script. We go to the scene. And it doesn't say it turns them into popcorn. And I'll read it verbatim. Just so I don't have it in front of me, but I remember it like word for word because I argued it with him. And I'll tell you why it pissed me off.
Okay.
So it says after swallowing the scared onlookers, the shadow gets sucked back into his hand from he used deranged magic to suck up the onlookers and suck them back into his hand. You can hear muffled screaming from his what's it called? His scary claw, and he puts the contents into his bag. So what does that tell you?
I mean, that sounds like my man put him in a bag.
Yeah, like he the magic swallowed the people up and pulled them into his hand, shrank them, and put them in a bag, right?
Pulled them into his hand unless he's got some sort of interdimensional hand. Yes.
No, like it specifically, it says like he uses his his demented magic to suck up the people into his hand, and then he puts the contents into the bag, right?
Okay.
So I was like, there it is. I'm like, it's right there. I'm like, it says it. And he was like, well, that could be anything. I was like, what the fuck are you I was getting mad. I was standing up at this point. I was standing up on the phone, like looking at the phone in anger. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he was like, well, we don't know if he put the people in the bag. He's like, the key word is contents. He's like, we don't know what contents are. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, anything could be contents. The people in his hand are the contents. I'm like, they are the contents. The people are the context in this context. I'm like, why don't you want to be wrong? And he's like, well, we don't know. He's like, contents can mean anything. He's like, you're the only one getting mad. I'm like, because you're refusing to admit you're wrong. I'm like, why don't you want to be wrong? And he's like, let's agree to disagree. I'm like, no. I'm like, you're wrong. And I'm like, I'm like, we looked at the script. We looked at the wiki. We saw the video. We saw what happened. And he just, for like 30 minutes, we went back and forth because of the one word, contents. He refused to believe that they shrank him. They shrank the people and put him in the bag. He refused. He fought me tooth and nail to not be wrong. And he's wrong, but he didn't want to admit it. And
that's why would he, Fee? That would mean that he's wrong. And you can't be wrong.
I told him, I'm like, I would admit that I was wrong if they turned into fucking popcorn. I'm like, why can't you admit that he shrank them and put them in the goddamn bag? I was livid that night.
Is this the man that danced his wife into submission?
No, this is the other one.
Okay, good.
This is the guy who thinks that the Batman is a bad movie.
Yeah, we don't trust that guy. That guy's not to be trusted.
Yeah, exactly. So he was just like, look, I'm the type of guy that if I disagree, then we agree to disagree. It's just up in the air. I'm like, it's not up in the air. It's up in the air.
God, all of those statements are the statements of someone that's like, listen, I know that I'm wrong, but as if I don't say it, then it's not true. So no.
And I like pulled my boss into this. Like I was like, Mike, you're there, aren't you? I'm like, look at this video and tell me what you see, and then read the script. And like, he was like, hey Robbie, it's pretty obvious. And what he did, he put him in the bag.
You put him in the bag.
Yeah, and he was like, well, but you see the word content, right?
God.
And I wanted to punch the window out. I wanted to put my head through the goddamn door. I haven't been that angry in a long time.
Man, yeah, no, he's arguing like a lawyer. And a lawyer that like a lawyer that is defending someone that they know is obviously guilty.
Yeah.
That is exactly what this sounds like. Is somebody being like, listen, I know I know he's guilty. You know he's guilty, but technically, do you really know?
I'm like, listen. If we read back the court transcripts, it never said anything about putting people into a bag. As you can see, they're just putting content to the bag.
It's now just contents.
Now the content, we have no idea what they are.
And it could have been a YouTube video that he made. Who knows?
And the court can agree. Yeah,
listen, the court knows
that without hearing from the Kyoto brothers themselves, we'll never know. So
no, man, that's the thing is like, that is one good thing about the internet. It's plausible that you could just send them an email and be like, hey, this man is so stupid. Can you just in an email tell me that this is what happened and confirm somehow that this is you? Like, take a picture with today's newspaper and write the words, he shrunk them down and put them in a bag on the newspaper. Please, God, I need this.
I probably would word it to be impartial, because I always feel like if I wrote to like a director or something and I wanted to be like, please prove that I'm right, I feel like the director on purpose would side with the other person without knowing the context of the conversation, just to make it seem like I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be...
That's fair. Although I will say it probably depends on the director, because like the other thing is like I saw a thing from somebody that sent an email to oh God, I keep coming up with Neils that aren't the one that I'm thinking of. Neil Gaiman is who I'm thinking of, but I thought of Neil deGrasse Tyson and Neil Cicierega first. Someone sent an email to sorry, what?
Neil Gaiman, the writer.
Yeah. So somebody sent an email to Neil Gaiman and said, hey, my English teacher said that I can't use your first name unless we're like, because we're not friends. Can you just confirm that we're friends? And he said, yep, we're friends. Go ahead and use my first name in that essay. And like, that's the kind of chaotic energy that I want. And that's a cool thing. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right that like, if I had done an art and you had sent me an email that was like, hey, this is how I interpret it. Confirm what I think or deny. Like, and you can see this all over Twitter. It's all over a bunch of different fandoms, especially with things that like where the lore isn't super spelled out, which like Killer Cons from Outer Space is one of those where it's like, okay, what is the impetus behind this? What's like the backstory here? Like some of that stuff just isn't spelled out. It's the same with like Overwatch, which is why like people start tweeting the writer and they start tweeting the dev team. They're like, hey, does Bastion have balls? And it's like, who cares? Stop.
The thing is, like, there's probably no answer. He's probably the director's probably like, oh, because it looked cool.
Yeah.
That's as deep as it goes.
Yeah.
But there's people like me and my coworker and a lot of other people that are like, they're like, there's probably something else there. And the director's like, it just looks cool.
There's got to be there's a deeper meaning. I know there is.
And I don't think there's a deeper meaning. Like, I don't care. I just like, I'm like, the scene played out this way. I just want to know. I don't care what they shrunk them down for. I don't care what they're going to do with them. I just want to know, did they shrink them down and put them in the bag? Please, for the God, tell me.
You know what that tells me? It tells me that like if they ever go to like a convention to do a signing, it's now on you and me to get you up there to ask this question on camera, and if it's the answer that we're expecting, send it to your coworker. If not, never speak of it again.
Yeah, exactly. I will. I'll be like, because it's not the Chiodos, it's the Kyotos. They pronounce it that way, and I'll be like,
the Don Quixotes.
I'll be like, Kyoto brothers are. I don't even know what they're doing right now, but because Killer Clowns is getting a video game, I'm sure maybe they're Zeitgeist again.
Yeah.
I'll be like, in this scene that the shadow puppet eats the people, did they shrink them down and put them in the bag? And I won't follow that up with anything. I won't give them an idea. I won't be like, or did they turn them into popcorn?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, from you, the director, the people who wrote the movie, what's your say?
Yeah, and I mean, even if you didn't go that far, if you just said like, hey, you remember this scene where there's like some guys and then this clown does this thing? What happened to those people? Like, just make it real open-ended. Just explain what happened here, and just let me know.
I'm just really afraid that it's not gonna be the answer I want to hear, and then I'm just gonna be just more angry, not at them, but at just a smug ass coworker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna be because if I tell them that that's what they said, I'll fucking never hear the end of it.
Now, here's the thing: you may hear the end of it, but like this also seems like the kind of guy who would respond and be like, listen, I said we were agree to disagree. I don't care that I was right. And you're like, God, fucking throw yourself in the ocean.
God, yes! God, yes! He is, and I hate that. Oh, he's one of those people that like kind of know what buttons to press, and he presses them. I don't know if for his entertainment or because he's bored, but man, he really knows how to fucking twist my nipples. It's just, oh, I hate it. What's worse is we watch a lot of the same things except like anime, so I have that up on him. But man, it really pisses me off.
That's gonna be like your nightmare scenario. Is like you get one of those like, hey man, what are you doing? Phone calls at work, and he's gonna be like, yeah, so I started watching anime, and you're just gonna hang up and quit. just stop. You're like, I'm done. I can't do it. I cannot take this man calling me up and being like, you know, I really think that Vegeta's actually a lot better than Goku. Or like just giving you a call just out of nowhere, and he's like, yeah, pretty sure that Jujutsu Kaisen is actually the best anime of all time.
I'll be like, awesome, man. Like, for that's the case, I'll be like, awesome. I'm like, you think that's your favorite anime of all time? He's like, no, it is the best. I'm like,
it is the best, actually.
I'm like, well, I mean, that's the cool thing about anime. There's a lot of good ones. No, this is the best. And I'm like trying to be impartial because yes, I want him to watch anime, but I don't want him to be that kind of weeb.
Mm-hmm.
So like the thing is, I have like, because he's like, I don't really get anime, and he was like, how about, because me and my boss, we like anime, and we talk about it, and when we talk about it, he kind of zones out. Mm-hmm. And he's like, why don't y'all give me like a top 10 of like the anime that you would recommend or like want me to watch, and I'll give it a watch. And he hasn't yet, but I did give him a lot of good animes to watch.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I don't know why you've done this to yourself. Like, I don't know why you've done this to yourself, because it's he's going to show up with these opinions. He's going to come up and say, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the best anime of all time. And you'll say, yeah, no, it's really good. And then he will say, no, it's the best of all time. It's the highest scoring one on my anime list. That means it's the best one of all time. You can't disagree with me.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, because he always, I've said it before, he always uses well, a lot of people online would disagree with you. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not talking to those people right now. I am talking to you, and I can have a different opinion. Just
man, that's a classic Trump line, by the way, to be like, more and more people are saying it. There's a bunch of people out there that think this thing that I'm just gonna fucking say with no proof of anything. Just people think it.
Which is like really funny because he is very, well, I would say liberal, but he also uses a bunch of like no words like openly and haphazardly, but he does have a very liberal viewpoint. So like I'm very confused when I talk to him sometimes.
Yeah, man. So like whenever you try to like be sort of like socially conscious of like the words that you're using and like you know, to be like, hey, this isn't 2008. It's not okay to just call everything gay anymore.
Yeah. Oh, he does.
Yeah, I know. That when you said that, I was like, oh, this is a man that continues to call everything gay. Got it.
Yeah, he'll call everything gay, and he'll call like people gay. Like he's like sounds like you're gay.
Gay.
And I mean that's that's kind of fine because like sometimes I'll be like, oh man, that's gay, but like I get the implications behind it, like saying that, and also I like men and women. I'm in that class of people. It's still not okay to say, but I mean, I give myself a limit on trying to use other descriptors for things.
Yeah, and like I get it. It's not, nobody's perfect, but like if you're trying your best to like, do good as far as like your like the words that you say, there's something to be said for that. And it's like it's a nice and I think relatively easy way to make more people feel more okay around you, which is
and
which is good.
Here's the thing. I don't use it at work. I don't like ever use it at work. I'm at home like by myself, just like playing a game by myself. I don't even like, not even when I'm streaming. I just do it when I'm by myself playing a game. I'm like, man, that was gay. Like that I lost. Like it's just like very innocuous things. Or sometimes I'll just call my cat gay because I fucking love her. So, and just to be dumb, but like I never use it in a negative connotation.
Good old gay cat. Yeah, I just I mean, it's one of those things where like if you're trying to watch your speech, it's that's a little bit of mental load on you that sort of like conveys some things. It sort of like has an air of sort of like self-introspection, and this does not sound like that's the case with this man.
Yeah, like because I used to be very open and loose with the things that I said, and I'm not ashamed of myself, but I'd like to think that I've grown from being younger and just say stupid things that a child would say. So I kind of police the language that I used, like openly while talking to people to make everyone feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, I'm right there with you. It's not that hard, IMO.
It's not really,
but it's I mean, it is a thing that like you just have to sort of get used to doing.
Like the other day, I was like taken aback because we were talking, and I think the topic had come up like, oh well, what kind of women do you like? I'm like, I kind of like any kind of woman. I'm like, don't think bad, but like I really like Japanese or like Asian women. Because they're like very small, and I like small, women that are smaller than me. And like their height is usually like 5 to 5'4", like for women. And I'm like, I always thought that was cool. And he was like, I'm not into Oriental people. I'm like, whoa! I'm like, Oriental people.
You're not a fucking rug, my guy.
I'm like, I said Japanese. Oh, you could have just said Asian.
But like, just said Asian.
I'm like, are we in fucking Vietnam? I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, I've never heard someone say that like out loud in person, like near me. So I was like, what? And then he was just like, oh well, yeah, I meant Asian, and I was like, okay,
all right.
I'm like, cool, man. I'm like, just kind of like just kind of watch it, what you say around people. And he was like, well, yeah. I'm like, yeah, y'all are cool. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell anyone. I'm just, for you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's like, and the thing is, like most things, that where people like don't want to like do any amount of research or like think about things. It's Oriental specifically is an interesting one because like Oriental is a description word. So whenever you're talking about like places in Asia, Orient means of the East as opposed to Occident, which means of the West, right? So whenever you describe something as Oriental, it's like from the East.
yeah.
And so, the argument there, like if you know that, then you can come around to be like, oh, well, Oriental is not like a slur word. That's not like a weird thing to say or anything.
It's not.
It's not. However, that's without context. That's without like that's taking it out of the context of like where the people who say that word to refer to like a group of people, generally like there's a general vibe there, right? And it's the same thing with like so we went to go vote, like we did early voting this weekend, and we were walking, and it's so funny because they're like at our polling place there's a ton of political signs like, oh, over this person, over that person, and like the rules around voting are like, yeah, you can put up signs and you can like talk to people, you have to be like X amount of whatever feet away from the door. So like we did our best to avoid all that, but like that big row of signs we see all the time because we drive by it on our way home. And looking at it, there was one that was like, hey, vote for all of these candidates for school board. And there was another one that was like, vote for all of these candidates for school board. And there were two things that we used to figure out which one were like the Republican or conservative leaning ones and which ones were the Democrat leaning ones. One sign said, like, protect our schools. And whenever you see that, especially in this particular election, you're like, okay, that's probably a conservative thing. But the thing that really nailed it home is they put the American flag on it, which is like,
of course.
it's very funny that now if I see a person that has an American flag, I go, oh, there's like a 40% chance you're racist. Okay, cool. Like, I'm glad that that's what the American flag tells me now. Neat. Love that.
It's either the flag or it's just full blown red.
And
that's usually Democratic use more softer like blues, and they don't like have the American imagery. Like there's no fucking bald eagles or flags on their fucking shit.
Yeah, and that's like, I mean, I'm all for, being like having Texas pride, having American pride, and being like proud of like where you come from, especially if it's like, doing good. If it's like if you're
something innocuous like cowboy hats or fucking boots.
Yeah,
those are good Texas descriptors, even though we don't live in a fucking desert with cactuses everywhere.
Yeah, true. But like, I don't know, like those sort of things are where you're like, and God, so the craziest thing is, I'm so glad that like League of Women Voters does this thing where they send out questions to the candidates, just like 5 or 6 questions that are like, hey, you have like a 500-word response, and here's this question about the thing that is relevant to the office that you were running for. And there are questions that are, I mean, pretty topical, but they're not politically leaning. So they give you like room to say the things that you want to say. And I'm really glad that they gave everybody in like the sort of like conservative leaning camp, especially for school board, enough rope to hang themselves with, because all the League of Women Voters asked was like what are your priorities?
Opinion.
Like, what do you think about books? Because like the book, there's like, are people that are trying to ban books. What do you think about that? And man, the amount of responses that my wife read that were like, we need to get the pornographic material out of the libraries. And like, if you're just reading that, you're like, well, why do the libraries have porn in them? What the hell? When did this happen?
I'm like, what school library has just these scantily clad women like on the covers?
Yeah, the thing is, what they're referring to are books that either have sex scenes in them, which, like, surprise, if you're like a high schooler, you've probably been exposed to the concept before, if not done it before. So that's fine. 2, a book that contains somebody who's like trans. Oh man, someone existing is pornographic.
What's funny is I can't even like picture that many books with trans characters or even sex scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't even count on one hand like how many books I know off the top of my head with that.
Mm-hmm. And like even if you could, a lot of it is just like, hey, some of these are like people communicating experiences that either they've had, or like maybe your child is interested in reading about because they identify with it in some way, or maybe they have a friend that does. So if it's like something that's like I don't know, like somebody who's having like an abusive home relationship, or a book about, I don't know, like 2 kids going on, like 2 teenagers, 2 16-year-olds going on an adventure, and they had sex the one time. It's like, I guess.
Yeah, you read, I don't know, words that I guess maybe are sexual, but
yeah,
I'm not
in fact,
sure.
let me count all the words from the beginning of this sex scene to the end, and it's 102. Okay, out of how many? 50,000? Oh, okay. Neat. Cool.
Like, the thing I don't get is like, like some books are fiction and some are like nonfiction. So why can't these characters exist and you just label them as fiction?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could believe, oh, it's a fantasy world where girls can be boys and boys can be girls, blah, blah, blah. It's fiction. Like, why can dragons and fucking magic and wizards and shit be fine with books, but God forbid, like, a character be trans?
I mean, you hit on it right there. That's the crux of this is because it's close enough to reality that these parents don't want to expose their kids to the idea that people may not identify with the gender that they were assigned at birth, and they believe that somehow, not unlike gayness, when you hear this idea, you go, "Oh shit! Oh no! Oh god! I'm not a boy anymore!" It's contagious.
It's a fucking incantation. They're reading it, and as they're reading it, they're like transforming.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh god! I'm growing boobs."
Oh no! This is kind of cool, but no!
Oh no!
Yeah. Like I don't understand that. Like, if they're gonna read it, like it's up to them, and even if like it didn't like make them question themselves, like who cares? Like, you're not gonna stop that person from reading the book, and even if you did take all the fucking books out of the library, you'd have to close that child off from like their phone, the TV, the newspaper. You'd have to close them off from like everything.
Yeah,
because they're gonna learn about like different types of people, gay, trans, fucking people, East Asian to Asians, anyone. They're gonna learn about these people in life in general. So what is a few paragraphs in a book gonna stop?
I mean, you say that, but if it were up to some of these parents, it's like, I think the idea is, we don't expose them to the idea outside of the context that this is a bad and abnormal thing. Like, if you present something like being trans or being gay in a way that in a context that isn't like this is abnormal and a bad thing to do, if you present it either neutral or in a positive light, then someone will see that and go, oh, well, then I should go do that. As if they read a book and in the book there was a character that was like, you know what? I tried meth one time. Pretty good, actually. Then they would be like, I gotta go find some fucking meth.
Well, this guy said it wasn't that bad. Just
and it's like the easy argument to make here is like, hey, do you really not trust your child to like, be able to like have a moral compass or like know themselves well enough to like not be easily swayed by a book they read from the library?
Yeah, and like, why do you think your kid would read that book unless they're doing a book report on it in the first place? Like,
I mean, even if it was a cool book, even if it was like a book about dragons, and there's like a trans guy in it, like, okay, they're reading it for whatever, and this is a character that's being presented as a hero. Your daughter's gonna start to figure out some stuff about herself, and suddenly she's gonna be really upset with you when you keep referring to her with female pronouns.
Oh no, like in most fantasy, there's a hero woman who's really badass, but she has a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Dang! Who would have thought that anyone from the LGBTQ community could be good people? Who'd have thought?
God, yeah, it's
weird.
It is a weird thing, and that's what a lot of these people were like running on. So it was very easy for school board to just run down and be like, okay, yeah, no, you wanna ban all the books that have like any mention of it. Okay, great.
Yeah, I just I don't get it. I don't get like that. You don't want to your kids to experience like gender, like questioning themselves when you yourself are thinking nothing about but like gender and like other stuff that you're trying to fucking shelter people from.
And a lot of this is the sort of media that you consume, right? It's what you're watching, and if you're spending 6 hours a day watching or like frequenting websites or like following people on social media that like are just harping on like, oh, I went to the library and I found this book and it has the word vagina 7 or 8 times in it. Can you believe that our kids are going to be learning that girls have vaginas? Like,
do they not take like high school like health class?
No. I mean, you can't be doing that. They'll find out.
So like, even if they didn't read the books, I'm sure in their health class someone did on the cover go to page like 120.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of a fucking wiener.
Yeah, the real homie out there being like, hey, I know what you're here for.
I know what you came for. Let me save you the trouble. A couple of boobs on page 120.
Exactly.
That's fucking sick. And then they'll draw the S symbol.
Yeah, draw the cool S. That way you know it's a good page.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like all of those things sort of add up to somebody who and this applies to, this isn't just like a conservative thing. There's also very many liberals that like very many like liberal leaning people that also are sort of terminally on the internet in a way that like they can't contextualize the real world or what things are out there and what things are like societally okay to say and what things are like that's probably okay in a Discord server that you spend 90 hours a week in, but like not okay to like just say at a grocery store, my dude.
Yeah. And that's I think that's the thing that like a lot of people don't understand, that both sides are not inherently bad. There can be good people on both sides, but there are the extremists on both sides who are the loudest, and people can point out and be like, ha, that's your people. Like, yeah,
I will say,
even if one side makes up more of the shit, it's equally, you can point and be like, look at how cringe that fucking gun-toting red hat man is being fucking fishing and hating gay people. And they were like, oh yeah, well, look at that fucking goth with green hair and I don't even know what it is, just out here protesting
Out here existing.
I don't know. Yeah, out here like fucking existing and protesting this coffee shop because I don't know. They have a fucking flag, an American flag on their fucking door. Like, it happens on both sides. Just fucking
the bad thing about that argument though is that like almost all domestic terrorism that's politically motivated is by conservatives. Surprise.
That's why I said like one side is demonstrably more, but
demonstrably still. The super majority. like it's not even it's not that it's broken up into two halves.
Yeah. It's like
it's broken up into more than just two particular sections, but one section is over half, and that is like conservative, politically motivated stuff. And they also just like, it's so fucking easy to trick them. Like one person is like, hey, do you know that like the guy that attacked Paul Pelosi was actually like a gay male escort, and they're like they were having a gay spat, and then everybody is like, ooh, let me retweet this as soon as possible. And fucking Elon Musk retweets it, and everybody is like, well, it must be true. One of the richest men on the planet just said it. Just came out and said it. And it's like, one of
the richest men in the world just said it. And he also begged Stephen King for $8.
For $8 a month. He said, oh, come on, Steve. Come on, what about 8? I'm good for it.
You know I'm good for it, Stevie. Oh, come on, man. I'll give you a flamethrower. I'll fly you to the moon.
Fucking... What about, what about Tree Fitty?
And he looked me dead in the eye and said, "Ain't about Tree Fitty." Just fucking Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. He purchased Twitter, and now he do be getting in everyone's Twitter DMs and be like, "Hey, I need about Tree Fitty."
Just dead ass, just fucking stares you in the eye, and he's like, yeah, I need you to pay for verification. You're like, well, how much? I'm need about Tree Fitty. just real coy and just real serious. Just my real God, serious. My man Elon out here. God,
just being embarrassing.
So I think what's even more funny and embarrassing. We talked about no topics that we discussed at all.
True. And we are at the end of the show. So
how fucking silly and stupid are we?
Not.
We're not.
You know what?
Yeah. Not.
The live recording of this on Twitch, the stream title is Avatar 2, Chainsaw Man, Wakanda Forever, 5 Small Ducks. And we talked about none of those things.
I mean, you just mentioned them, so we kind of did.
You know what? You're a genius, Fee.
I fucking knew it.
I
was waiting.
This is it. This is gonna be our moment. We've done it. Everything. The prophecy has come true. And now I can tell you about where you can find us. So as I mentioned, we record this podcast live on Twitch every week or so. You can find us at twitch.tv/GoGettasPod. If you follow and turn on notifications, you will get a push notification that says whenever we're going live. And come listen to the show live. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
Yeah, and you can listen to you can watch the VOD of this later on YouTube. It'll come out at the same time that the podcast gets released on all of your favorite podcatchers, 100% of them. Name one that we're not on, so you can't do it. And while you're looking at all of those other platforms where this podcast is going to be, leave us a rating and, have it be an honest one. But if it's not a good rating, don't leave it.
Yeah. Honestly, leave a good rating and be honest. If you don't like it, don't say nothing.
Yeah. If you don't like it, send us an email instead.
Yeah. And, we will look at it and we will read it and we'll take every word to heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise you, it made it through. Just if we don't answer back, I want you to know that we're dwelling on your words. Your words.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to rate us like 5 stars and all thumbs and all the hearts and shit. Whatever, you can just rate us top tier, baby. It won't hurt you. What's it gonna what it would be worse if you rated us bad.
Yeah, well, what's gonna go? Well, what's that going to do? What's it doing for you? What's that doing for us? What's that doing for you?
Exactly. I mean, the world's already a negative place. Why you got to make it more negative, baby?
Yeah, just put some positivity and some 5 stars out in the world.
Or just pay us $100 a month. Just why not?
Yeah, you know what? We don't have a Patreon. We don't have any way for you to give us money. But if you find one of us on the street, just give us $100.
Just come on. Just here's my PayPal. It's givememoney123 at gofuckyourself.com.
Wow. It's and this is legit. It's legit. If you send an email to that, Fee will reply to you.
I will. Dude, I've replied to so many people.
He calls himself Mailer Damon though, so like that's him. And he'll try to be coy, and he'll say, you know, no one's at this email address, because he's trying to get the Fee took out some loans a number of years ago, and got to get him off his back.
So I will respond with, this doesn't exist, but I'll know. Just I want you to know it does exist. So.
Yeah, it does. It does. Don't think about it.
Don't think about it too hard. So, here's what I want you to do after doing all that. I want you to get 5 small ducks. I want you to put them in a school library.
Okay.
And give them like fanciful books full of fantasy. And I want them everything to be good. Then I want you to take all their books away and burn them in front of them. Then go get them.
Go get them! Jeez! Why are we burning the ducks' books?
No, we aren't. The audience is.
Oh, got it.
I want the audience to do. I want this to be a harsh lesson that the world is cruel sometimes, and I want to point and laugh at them.
No, but you can't laugh at the ducks. You gotta laugh at the audience, because they're crying. Yeah. They're crying as they're burning these books. They're like, "Oh God, they told me to do it."
They're like, "I don't know why I'm doing this," and the ducks look on in horror.
And we're laughing, and we're like, "The Nuremberg defense didn't work then. It's not gonna work now. It's stupid."
We're like on a 2-way mirror, just fucking writing. Writing down just weird things. Oh, this is how they react. Like it actually fucking means something.
Right.
Like the fucking hypothesis, like we're testing like the fucking human fucking instinct and shit. Like, will they really do it? And they fucking do.
Wow. Here's the thing. I feel like if we're doing this test and somebody actually does it, they can't listen anymore. We ban them.
Exactly. We ban them. And you know what? We don't even exchange the 5 ducks that get the books taken away. We use the same ducks every test.
Yep. Yep. And you know what? We pay those ducks a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. To look very sad.
They're such good actors.
They're so good, these fucking ducks. You don't even know.
These ducks were in Independence Day. How dare you? Bye.
These ducks run Forrest Gump. Bye.